What's good, everyone? Coming to you from the light of the void. I got Corbin addicted to Night Rain again. We basically were planning Dungeons and Dragons last Sunday, and then like 2/3 of our group were just like, "What do you mean we planned Dungeons and Dragons?" And so I just I'm in the call with Corbin, like I guess we're just playing video games this morning. So I got Corbin in one run. He was like, "Damn, this is kind of fun." And I got Corbin in another run. And he was like, "Damn, this is kind of fun." And I'm like, okay, see you later. You hear that? Anyway. I get Corbin into like run 2, we biff it, it ends. I'm like, alright, see you later, Corbin. It's been like 2 hours. And he's like, no, we must keep going. We have to keep playing. And I'm like, Corbin, don't you have? No, I'm doing laundry. And so we do another run. And we crush it, and Corbin's like, ooh, and he gets bit. And we do another run, and I'm like, Corbin, you should probably go. It's been like 3 hours, and he's like, no. And so we get to run number 5, and we're crushing it, and we're doing dumb bullshit, and we decide like at like the 2/3 mark that we're just gonna start copying whoever's pick is, so that we're all the same champion, and we're just a bunch of fucking weird little goons. And we get triple Iron Eye and triple Executor, which is both the best run followed by the worst run I've ever had. Fantastic. It was absolutely brilliant. Got Corbin in deep. He couldn't stop playing. I'm still addicted because this game is crack cocaine to me and it's fun as hell. And that's why I've done solo runs on all the bosses with the fucking shitty wizard who's just really not that great in solo. That game is really neat because it's like half procedural and half just like really complex. Instead of actually having random patterns, it just has a lot of set patterns that it picks from, which means there's kind of like a really, really big upscale of memorization in Night Rain that kind of just goes on forever, because you can just kind of figure out every infinitesimal little pattern down to like which bodies have a 5% drop rate of legendary weapons for your runs, and so you can like optimize forever. That game is really clever with how it's designed, and that it's kind of just designed to be crunchy forever if you really want to fall into it for no reason. Anyway, a lot of fencing. I'm blue cord now, which puts us in a weird place because I no longer have anything to do on Mondays, really. Normally, I would spend time practicing to get to blue cord, but now I'm blue cord, so I'm just hanging out on Monday with the 2 other blue cords, and we're just like, what are we doing? I don't fucking know. And so we've started making our own curriculum. And one of the things that's really like popular right now is a lot of us are just kind of like going through some of like the second manual that we get, because you get a manual from green to blue, and then you get a manual from blue to red, and then you get a manual for red to silver, yada yada yada. I don't even know if there's a manual for silver to gold. I think you just gotta free ball it from there. And so going through the blue to red manual, and there's like the first section is wrestling. It's just straight up wrestling, which I actually super agree with. I think every martial art needs wrestling, and if it isn't, it's not real. Because every fight devolves into hugging, without fail. Like, no matter what, hugging is the universal constant because everyone's just getting too close, even in fencing. So I've devised a new minigame to practice wrestling for people who just don't do a lot of up-close wrestling. Because when it comes down to it, not a lot of us have a wrestling background. There's a couple people in the school who do Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and stuff, but even that's not really what we're doing because it's ground wrestling. And most of BJJ is like, get your double arm takedown, get your Maki, or get your Imanari takedown, get your weird bullshit, get them on the ground, butts good at each other, and then just start tangling. And in fencing, we go to fall, so it's kind of closer to judo, but we don't have pads, so we can't go as hard as judo. This means that the options to wrestle are really strange, but what we do allow are arm locks and wrist locks and stuff. So it's like kind of Aikido-y, especially with the actual use of weapons in the mix. All of this means that it's like the wrestling curriculum in our school is strange and almost unique to it. And that means I have to make new drills, kind of, because we don't really have good drills for this stuff. There's a wrestling class we do, but that's just wrestling. That's not swords. It's like hand wrestling. And it covers some of it, but not all of it. So I invented a little mini game called turn-based wrestling. And functionally what it is that you take turns doing motions in a grapple, where you start bound at the swords, ka-ching, and then you start going from there. You try to get their sword out of their hands, you try to stab them with your sword when you're really close, and you try to either throw them, stab them, get them in a lock or a hold, and you try to avoid getting to the ground yourself, but sometimes it just happens. Like, there are some takedowns that you could do that I'm, like, noticing that just work if they get you in, like, a triangle choke or, like, a guillotine. That there are some throws you can do from standing to ground that involve just grabbing their leg and doing like a 360 roll until the soft part of their skull hits the ground. And like, that works. That super works. That would knock someone the fuck out. But you can't do that in MMA. You can't do any of that. You can kind of only do it in fencing because they're wearing a helmet. And from there, you just kind of gotta deal with that. So turn-based wrestling is you slowly taking turns grappling each other, and then you kind of ramp up from there, where you go from taking turns to your turn gets a limited amount of time, like 1, 2, 3, and then they get to go, but you have to stop. And what that eventually turns into is just regular wrestling, but there's this sort of learning incline that occurs with this little game that gives you the time to process and plan and make the decisions without constantly scrambling to win. And that's why I feel like that's the most difficult part of learning to wrestle, I feel, is that you're constantly scrambling to use your musculature and your body to overwhelm the opponent outside of actually just using proper techniques. And without any real good guidelines, it's really hard to like plan and play and be like mindful about it. This is all to say that this last Friday, I went to a barbecue, I was told, and then I got there, and it wasn't barbecue, it was a birthday, and I didn't know until a cake was put out on the table, and I was like, hey, random person at the party, is there a birthday I don't know about? And they were like, yes. And then they walked away, and I was like, Leah, whose birthday did you invite me to? And she's like, didn't I tell you? And I'm like, no. And she didn't tell me. And then I had to I just look around until the person got their cake. And then it was like, oh, it's Ellie's birthday. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. Damn, I wish I brought a gift. Like I had that opportunity at some point. Anyway. So Leah's friend with like a kid who transitioned from high school. Their name is Ellie now. She's honestly pretty cool. They're just a big bunch of the whole group is just a bunch of trans kids hanging out with them. They're like 2 blocks from Corbin. They're on like Jefferson Place or whatever. And it turns out that like it started off like I don't know any of these fucking people, and then I just said the word HEMA out loud, and it turned out every single one of them did some form of like LARP or mixed martial arts or fencing or HEMA. One of them did Dusak, which is leather swords. It's Dusak's strange, but it's basically like Messer or like, you know, curved swords like scimitars and shit. And so that's just like, and then we went from there. I was like, oh, these people are actually super tight, and they're all fucking weebs, so they're actually dope as fuck. And just, yeah, I got to make like 8 new friends that evening. It was really cool. Gastown is bumping. So right now, Gastown's Water Street, right behind me, the one where all the cops are right now, and not the homeless people. The homeless people are that way. It is blocked off from cars during the day, which means it is just a giant walkable hunk of town from like Waterfront Center to the cop shop that way. Waterfront's that way, cop shop's that way, and like that entire lane is just walkable town now, which is really cool because they do events there now. And every like weekend it's some weird bullshit. Sometimes it's a concert. Yeah, last time there was like a fucking dude like juggling and shit, and he was like, I can't tell if he was bad and making it up along the way, or if he was actually really good and he was flubbing on purpose to fuck with people. But this dude would do some like shit that seemed menial, like he couldn't juggle 3 balls, and he'd pick up 5 knives and then rock it. And I don't know, like it's such a weird bit. But like I think like he's intentionally flubbing the balls to be like, oh yeah, and then I'm gonna pick up sick knives. Everyone get fucking scared that I'm gonna kill myself, and then he just rocks it. It's a good bit. It was pretty funny. But yeah, Gastown's like really cool now. Everything's walkable. They have concerts at like Victory Park, the park that's full of syringes and hobos and piss. The one just outside of I don't know. Any landmark that you guys would know. You're all from Coquitlam. Yeah, Hobo Park has just been like turned into like a concert spot now, and they just have bands play it. It's really fucking sick. You can just kind of like go out any day of the week, and there'll be something there now. It's really cool. Curse of Strahd is bad. So I'm reading through Curse of Strahd, and it's like an old sandboxy campaign. It's like a whole campaign designed for you to be in like this big valley that you traverse, and the whole point is you gotta kill Dracula, and Dracula's this big scary guy, and all these people in this place are sad, and these mists keep people from leaving, and if you die, you become part of the mists. You can't even pass on to the afterlife, and it's like a big horror campaign, and it sucks. It's empty. The characters are lame, and I don't like them. And I'm going through this entire campaign like, this is all really cool, but this town has nothing in it, and the characters aren't cool, and the cool characters don't show up until like way fucking later, like hours and hours and hours into the campaign. So like my party's just stuck aimless, looking for what the fuck to do, and I gotta sit there and just be like, there's a ghoul now. And so I've kind of started just homebrewing the fuck out of Curse of Strahd. Curse of Strahd is like, the fucking NPCs are so lame. So I've started just rewriting all of them to have like good dialogue and intros and scenes, and giving like just completely changing their characters so that like they can still fit into the very loose framework of a story. But now they actually have like a gimmick, something to latch onto that isn't overly fucking complicated like everything else in this. The only thing that Curse of Strahd does that I really like is that it has a tarot reading at the start of the campaign that determines the effects of the campaign. And the tarot reading is super cool. And they have all these custom cards, and like you could get your character's tarot reading, and you can change the effects of the setting based on that tarot reading. If you go to that place in the campaign and get like a little old witch to like pull cards for you, it's super cool. And they print out the cards and everything. But the rest of it is just like, here's Frank. Frank is a guy. He's the shop owner, and he's got a dog, and he sells basic equipment from the manual. And you're just like, he doesn't have anything other than basic equipment. Like, what the fuck? And the players just leave because there's nothing fucking to do there. It's just a giant waste of time. And there's nothing worse in a game than a dead end for you when like you're exploring something. And you're like, ooh, I wonder what's over here under this rock, and there's just nothing there. There's not even like a fuck you. It's nothing. And then the players just go, well, maybe I shouldn't fucking explore anything because there's nothing anywhere. Like, I have to look for obvious signposting now. And it's just, what's the point of an open world game? If you fill your open world game with dead ends that have nothing in them, that it might as well be a railroad, because it's just a linear campaign with time wasters that don't mean anything. I don't get it. It's a bad design. Speaking of bad designs, I watched Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts is a bad movie, but it's really weird because it has a bunch of good scenes that are fun in it. The characters are neat, and I like them, but they do cool stuff, and the fights are neat, and they're a lot of fun, and everything's pretty funny, and I laughed a lot, and I came out of the movie, and I was like, this movie sucks. This movie's like bad, and I feel really unsatisfied. And Leah's like, well, they just want you to watch another Thunderbolts movie. I'm like, that's like 2 years from now. I'm going to remember this fucking movie then. The movie should be satisfying and memorable, so I want to see the next one. And I came to the conclusion that the movie Thunderbolts just doesn't have a plot arc for any of its characters. The plot is literally like, there's some assassins, they do assassin shit, and then they gotta form a team because they get double-crossed, and so one of the experiments that they were sent to kill as like Black Ops cleaners and stuff turned out to actually not be a failure, and now that thing's a problem, and they gotta stop it, and so they gotta form a team of kind of shithead assholes to solve the problem. But they're like all all of them are Hawkeye, from more or less. Like, it's literally just Punch Man, Punch Girl who can be a ghost, Russian Punch Man, shitty Captain America Punch Man, Assassin, like, funnier Black Widow, and then there's another one that I can't even remember. Like, it's so bad. And so you're going, and like some of them have like these cool like setups and arcs and stuff, and then they just never conclude, and it's so upsetting because you get like, oh man, Captain America is he's like an asshole, he's like an actual piece of shit asshole, and you're like, oh man, maybe when the movie concludes he will be less of a piece of shit asshole, and the answer was no, he wasn't. He's still a piece of shit asshole, he just saved the day. And so you get all these moments that should change his character and be interesting and dynamic, and they're not, and nobody changes by the end of this movie. And so you're just like, this is a waste of time. Even the villain didn't even lose. The villain won at the end of this movie, and it's not gritty or realistic if the villain wins, because they shouldn't have won. They should have got shot in the head. The best part of this movie, though, is that the like mid-villain has one of the most terrifying powers visually. I don't know if you saw the trailer for Thunderbolts, but there's just like a guy who looks like fucking heartless Sora. He's just a black void with little pinprick eyes, and he just like points at people, and they just they just get atomized. And you watch this dude just like delete like 50 people and just like point at them, and it's like boop, they're gone. And it's actually horrifying to watch this dude just turn children into atoms. But it all gets retconned, and then they get unatomized, and then the villain's actually a good guy now. And bad movie. I got new masks. So I got a fencing mask. It's beat to shit because it's had about 2 years of use of getting hit in the face with metal sticks to the point that it looks like crumpled tinfoil. It's fucked up. And I was trying to get masks for a while, both me and Leah, and all of the resale masks got bought up instantly. You can usually find masks, so there's like a resale market on Facebook for fencing masks that all come from Dynamo Fencing, which is like the official Canadian Olympic fencing team, and the turnover is through the roof. The turnover's through the roof. And like every week there is a new mask on Facebook Marketplace, but they're all child-sized masks. Because literally it's just like, for the summer, I just want my kid to fuck off to a healthy sports activity for the summer, whatever, here's $500 of equipment, buy. And then the kid is like 8 years old, so they're like, I don't know, fencing, swords are cool. And then they like realize swords are lame and I don't want to do this thing, and it's autumn, so buy. And so they just sell the equipment. And so there's like a ton of masks on Facebook Marketplace that are child-sized masks, and it's such a bait because like 1 out of 10 is an adult-sized mask that fits me. But it's just like, you have to sift through it constantly. So Dynamo Fencing kind of single-handedly like produces masks for like $50 for our actual HEMA community, which is really silly. But couldn't find any for months, been needing a mask for forever. Finally got one on like a website that's like a Canadian place from like Winnipeg ? And like it's actually a good price. I'm excited for my new mask. I got waffled like 3 times in the last like couple months where like my mask crumpled and from a hit and it touched my face. So I got like a waffle pattern on my head a couple times. That was bad. That's not fun. Getting cuts to your face from the sword is not pleasant. Wouldn't recommend. But yeah, new masks, very excited. Peak. I played a new game finally that isn't Night Rain. Peak is Peak. It's a stupid little fucking game that's like $15 or something where you climb a mountain. You climb a mountain with your homies, you have proximity chat, you can help them climb. It's really fucking hard. It's basically a game about pathing, and it's goofy as shit, and I love it. I played it for like 1 hour, and I had so much fucking fun with this stupid ass game that feels like it was made in like Unreal in like a month. Love this shit. Play Peak with me. Help me climb a shitty mountain. See you later, y'all. Toodaloo.